YouTube. I am Pinstar, and this is 2-Point Campus Strategy and Tactics. So today we're going to talk about training, more specifically the different archetypes that you can train your employees into. I mean, granted, you can train your employees into anything, but these are the specific setups that I've found most effective. Just to go over the differences between 2-Point Campus and 2-Point Hospital. 2-Point Hospital allowed you to train up an employee of up to 5 different things, with some things having their own increasing level, but they had to get enough experience. With 2-Point Campus, you can train up employees as many times as you want, as long as you can afford it and as long as you meet the other prerequisites. The limitation is that there's only 3 different slots for 3 different skills. However, within those slots, the skills can go up. The first archetype is what I call the pure professor. Here, you want to have a skill of whatever course this professor is teaching up to its highest level. Now, the level that you can train a professor into is limited by your school's mastery of that particular subject. So as we can see here, for our countercultural person, max qualification level of 5 because we are a level 3. There is a 6th level that I could train them into, but we'd have to increase our school's mastery of that in order to train them to level 6. That being said, level 4 and above is pretty much all you need. Although if you have it, go for it on the lower levels. This just increases the base teaching speed and is effective every time they teach class. So there's no reason not to raise this up to as high as you can for your teachers. But you'll notice there's 2 other skills here at level 1. We've got our comedic timing, 5% chance to provide comic relief, and 5% chance to inspire students with inspirational speaking. What I found in my observations here is even though these 2 at level 1 seem to be a fairly low chance, the check seems to occur several times during class. And the buffs are pretty darn good. So the inspired that we saw this person get it right here, 10% bonus learning rate. Not too bad since they're already in class and that bonus applies immediately. It'll probably wear off by the time the next class goes around, but it still helps bolster. It basically lets them teach 1 level above what they normally would be doing. That's why I was saying that the base teaching skill is more important than these ancillaries, because going up to level 6 would give 100% inspired essentially, whereas inspired just gives us a chance to go a little bit above the top. But the other one, comedic timing, this one's also very good. It does not give us any direct help with the class itself, but it does help their needs so that they can focus on other things besides that. The next archetype is what I call the substitute teacher. This archetype involves level 1 of one of your subjects, level 1 of another one of your subjects, and then as much private tuition training as you can get. We can certainly go higher than level 4 here. The levels of your secondary skills are capped based on your campus level, but we can go higher with this one. Basically, the way this particular substitute teacher works, you don't want to depend on them for teaching, but you do want them to be able to teach. So what you want to do is at the beginning of each year, take away their teaching ability, unpause, repause, and then give it back to them. What this will do is this will make them the one that gets the dregs. If there's any leftover classes that need an additional professor, they'll pick it up. So as you can see, this professor is completely unscheduled for the entire year, except for 1 musicality class. Now, normally a professor doing absolutely nothing all year except for 1 class would be highly ineffective. But in this case, since we're putting them in for private tuition, they're going to be spending this whole time, save for breaks, doing private tuition, and then at the end of the year here, they have 1 class that they need to run to. Are they going to be the most effective teacher at that class? No. But they're not going to do much in the way of damage by teaching 1 class that's a little bit meh compared to your other teachers. And because they can pick up both skills here, they can cover one-offs for multiple skills, potentially saving you a lot in employee wages. Once your substitute starts doing more teaching than private teaching, you might want to invest in additional real teachers and let the substitute go back to doing more private tuition. The researcher should have 1 of 1 skill, 1 of another skill, and as much research skill as you can get. Obviously, we're going to want to up that for them. This employee is useful in a number of different ways. Because certain research projects require that they have knowledge of a specific subject in order for them to contribute research to them, this max maximizes the number of different projects this person can contribute to. And just like with the substitute teacher, if you need a one-off here and there, you can have them come away from their researching to teach 1 or 2 classes as needed, so you don't have to hire whole new dedicated professors for them. On to the assistants. Our librarian. Obviously, we want as high a library management as we can get. We can certainly go higher than this. I've just been a little bit behind on training this individual, but you also want to throw in some comedic timing. For the same exact reasons as professors, people in the library may proc a comedic timing boost while they're doing their research. And given the volume of people that come into the library, especially the power library, chances are you're going to get a couple of people with that proc, which is useful for fulfilling their needs. Unfortunately, the inspirational training is not available for assistants, so you can't get the 5% chance for an extra 10% learning while in the library. But at the very least, go for the comedic timing. By the way, when a student procs comic relief by a professor or an assistant, the buff fulfills their entertainment need and gives them a temporary 10% happiness buff. So useful all around, especially since the happiness buff feeds into their learning rate. Next staff archetype is the outdoor stall, the food and drink stall staff. Pure comic timing. They have a chance to proc it with each person that interacts with them, and that includes the staff that decide to get food or drink. In addition to the buffs that some of the stall foods themselves get, they may get additional buffs from the happiness from comic relief. So you definitely want them as high as possible. The next type of worker is going to be either the first aid assistant or the pastoral care assistant. Both of these you want to build this skill as high as possible, as well as throw in a little comedic timing just to see if you can give a happiness buff to those who they are treating. Also, one thing to note, I wouldn't actually train up the first aid skill or the pastoral skill. It's actually a lot easier to wait until you get lucky enough to get a randomly generated new candidate that has a really high medical skill or really high pastoral skill and just swap them in for your existing one if they're lower level. Also, you generally want to have your person working at here full time, so taking them away for training is not always the best thing. Marketing assistant, train them in marketing. And once again, I wouldn't actually take the time to train them. Just wait till you get good marketers in queue randomly and add them to your room. By the way, this particular room, much like the library, can have up to 3 people working here. And this room might actually want the additional people, but that's another video. So janitors, you generally only want the one person with mechanic skill, and you want to level that up pretty high. Generally, you want one primary thing and you want to train up that. In addition to that, you want more people with maintenance and aerodynamics. The movement speed is important for janitors, more so than any other staff members. I wouldn't train aerodynamics on anybody except a janitor. You'll also notice that almost all of my janitors here have security. If you're on a level that has invasions, it's a lot more effective to give all of your janitorial staff a couple levels of security than it is to just hire 1 or 2 high-level security. Now, lower-level security people have a chance to fail to stop an invader. They'll do the animation, but the invader will win. So you generally want to train them up to level 2 or 3 to ensure that they actually stop the invader when they catch them. A lot of training that needs to be done, but that's with the twin training station, you can go through your janitorial staff pretty quickly, and they don't have classes to attend, so you can pull them off the floor whenever. Last but not least, remember that you can always check the list of hires in here to see if you have somebody that's a replacement. Why train somebody up when there might be somebody that is already pre-baked at an insanely high level? You might get lucky, you might not. If you don't get lucky, train them up. If you do, grab the new person and don't be afraid to fire the lesser skilled person. Also do note that the range of skills that appear in your staff hiring list here corresponds to your campus level. So at early levels, you're only going to get the level 1s, maybe some level 2s. It's not until later in the level that you'll get higher level people. So don't think you're getting unlucky when you're first starting out. That's just by design. So if you guys like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback's always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar signing out. See ya!